wake up and realize.
Hey, how you doing out there? I'm back again. It's your homeboy, it's your brother Chris Harris here at Open Doors. I'm back with another great episode, another great topic, and I know we're going to have an awesome time together today. Before we get started, I need you to hit that subscribe button. Hit that subscribe button now, because as we drop episodes, week in and week out, interesting episodes, we don't want you to miss them. It'll come right to you. And don't forget to share this podcast to the people that you know. All right, let's get started. Anthony Mackie, the actor Anthony Mackie, went on the Pivot podcast with Ryan Clark. Ryan Clark is a former NFL player, Ryan Clark and the crew. And he went on there and he said something on there on the Pivot podcast about the American male or the American man. I want to share that brief clip and I want us to have a discussion about it, all right? Let me share the clip for you.
We've been living through the death of the American male. They have literally killed masculinity in our homes and our communities, for one reason or another. But I raised my boys to be young men. My boys will always be respectful. They will always say, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. No, sir, no, ma'am. They will always say thank you. They will always open a door for a lady. They will always make sure that their mother is taken care and provided for. They will always be men. And that's always since they were 2 years old. Every time I left for a job, I tell my 15-year-old, you the man of the house. You make sure these doors are locked every night, this alarm is on, you text me or you call me every night before you go to bed and you wake up. Because we're men. If I'm not there to protect, he got to be there to protect. Because you can have all the money in the world, climb through the window, that money means nothing. So you got to have a little guard in there.
So today I want to talk to you. You saw the video clip. Are we experiencing the death of the American male? As he was talking, I was just chewing on it and I was just thinking about it. Are we experiencing the death of the American male? And I can answer that this way. I believe everything he said was true. Now, I don't know if we are definitely experiencing the death of the American male, but I would say this, it's leading that way. Is leading that way, because I believe what's happened when it comes to the American male, and you may say, well, it's not just the American male, it's all over, but let's just talk about the American male for the sake of conversation, because that's where he led. The one thing I thought about, the lines have been blurred. The lines have been blurred when it comes to who a man is. Who a male is. The lines have been blurred. So I believe that we're leading to that, but I believe that we're coming back. It may be slow, but we're coming back. I've seen things. I've seen this uptick when it comes to promoting masculinity, when it comes to this uptick of promoting manhood and what a true man is. I've seen it coming, so I believe we're coming back slowly but surely. That's why I said that we were leading that way, because the lines have been blurred in our society. One thing I just want to say, what the Bible tells us, that there is a God, a lesser G God, a God of this world. And the God of this world, he wants us to disobey the things of God, the Creator, which is my Father in heaven. He wants us to disobey. He wants us to be in disobedience. So anything that's of God, he wants to distort it. He wants to tarnish it. He wants to poison it, because he's in obedience and has always been obedient since he fell with the Father. And he wants us, God's creation, to be in obedience as well. So the God of this world has push this agenda for us to blur the lines. Because when you think about God's creation, God created male and female. But he didn't just create male and female. He created order when it comes to male and female. He created us to have order. He created us to have a certain position and to have a certain order and to operate a certain way. So the devil, the enemy, the God of this world, he wants to distort that. He wants to disobey that and to put us in disobedience with it as a way of kind of spitting in the face of God. And you see it when it comes to things that's happening in our society, because men don't know what it is today to be men, because the lines have been blurred. You know, when you think of a man is a protector. A man is a provider. A man is a covering. We think of men. But men, not just that, also has a certain identity. That's where you get the traits from, the masculinity traits. They have a certain identity. They have certain traits that identify a man from a female. But what happens when those lines are blurred? And that's what the devil wants. And that's why you see the confusion. That's why you see what's going on with the male, with the man, with the American male. I was thinking about this, as I was preparing for this episode. And like I said, the God of this world, he's in control. He's pushing the agenda, and he's using different tactics to confuse men, to confuse society on what a man is supposed to be. Because God that we serve, our Father, he's a God of order. God has positioned man to be the head of the house. God has positioned man to be the protector. God has positioned man to be a provider, to be a leader. It's only in the human race where we see things out of order, right? If you go and look at the animals, when you go look at the animal kingdom, you don't see the animal kingdom out of order. What am I saying? You don't see a lion. Men are walking around now like women, taking on women traits, acting like women, acting feminine, acting like females, acting in a way they're not supposed to be acting because they're men. Like I said, when you talk about men, God has given men an identity. But that identity in a lot of ways has been distorted. But it's only with us in the human race, because like I said, when you go to the lions, a male lion, is a male lion. When you go to dogs, or you go to the cattle, or you go to any of the animals, you've never seen a gay lion. You've never seen a male dog that's gay or feminine. You've never seen a lion that's feminine, a male lion that's feminine. It's only with the human race, that the humans, where we are out of order. Because the God of this world, again, I said, has confused us and has blurred the lines. And I said, because he's the God of this world, he uses certain tactics. He uses certain things to confuse us. He uses things that will influence us. And one of those things is the media. And to go along with the media, he uses certain other influences like celebrities, athletes, actors, musicians. He used these people who we consider influencers, because if he can get the influencers to influence us, he has us in the palm of his hands. And I'm saying that because I was looking at the landscape of our society, and I was saying, wow, you see a lot of, I watched like the NBA, right? I watched the NBA a few years ago. What did you see with the NBA? You saw a lot of these NBA players. Now, I like the NBA. A lot of people like the NBA. You like sports. They influence us. They're celebrities. They influence us. We watch them. We peek into their lives, and we see things about them. Did you see how they started acting and dressing differently? I'm seeing guys roll up to basketball games in skirts, high heel boots. Guys are painting their fingernails. Guys are wearing their hair a certain way. They're dressing in a certain way that's not the prototypical masculine way, manly way. Why is that? Why all of a sudden that happened? Because it's there to influence us. You see a lot of the music stars that people listen to, that people idolize. You see a lot of the music stars, the way they've dressed. These are men. The way they dress. Kanye West, a lot of these men, these different artists, you see the way they started dressing. You're like, man, what does this dude got on? There became this switch, right? Where this guy's not dressing like, a masculine man. This guy's not acting like a masculine man. When did it become okay for men to paint their fingernails? That's feminine. That's women's stuff. That's stuff that women do. But the devil wants to blur the lines. Because when the devil blurs the lines and you become confused, he got you. Because you're out of order. And God is a God of order. God has placed a natural order, his will over us. And when we get out of order, we become into rebellion with God. So that's what's happening. You see the influences, the commercials, the movies, the different things. They're pushing this male that they want you to buy into. They're pushing this man that they want you to buy into. He's not the masculine male. He's a feminine male. So the lines have become blurred in our society, and that's the problem. And that's the problem because, like I said, there is a God of this world who's pushing this agenda, and he's using places of influence to influence us, to influence our young people, to influence our children, to influence the society to rebel against God. Because that's not the way of God. Also, that brings me to my next point. A big reason for this confusion, in my opinion, is because as a society, we've walked away from God. As a society, we've walked away from God. And because we've walked away from God, we've forgotten what a man is, and the role of a man, and what a woman is, and what the role of a woman in God's will. In God's will. We've walked away from God, so we've walked away from the word of God, because in the word of God will tell you. It will tell you. It will tell you. God will lead you and tell you to what a man is. Like I said, a man is a protector. A man is a leader. He's the head. He's not the tail. He's the head. He's a provider. He's a covering. A man sacrifices. The Bible said for a husband to love your wife as Christ loved the church. In the word of God, it will show you, it will teach you what Christ did. Christ sacrificed for the church. Christ sanctified the church. Christ was the priest, the high priest for the church. A man is supposed to be the priest of his home. So because society, we've walked away from God, we've lost our identity. And as we walked away from God, another thing that you find yourself seeing is a lot of broken families where dad is away from the house. Mom is raising the child. Mom is raising this young man. Dad is not there. And mom can't teach this boy to be a man. Mom is feminine. Her qualities are feminine. So what is this boy getting? He's getting feminine qualities. I was listening to a pastor in a podcast, and he said something so profound. He said he always, liked women. He's married to a woman. He always liked women. But he said growing up, he had certain feminine qualities that people used to look at him funny and question him. It wasn't that he was, gay or anything like that, but he was raised in the house with women. And because he was raised in the house with women, what were the traits? There wasn't any masculine traits there. What were the traits that were there? He picked up. And that's what happens in a lot of families. That's why when you hear Anthony Mackie talk about him teaching his son, hey, this is how you be a man. When I'm not here, you're the man of the house. He's teaching him, because how else are they going to know unless a man teaches them how to be a man? And that's the problem that we have in society. We have a lot of broken families. We have a lot of men incarcerated. We have a lot of men who are not taking care of their kids for whatever reason. That's a story for another day. But because of this broken family, there are not a lot of men in a young boy's life teaching them. You know, the Bible said iron sharpens iron. A man is supposed to sharpen a young man so he can become a man. And then in return, he does the same thing. Iron sharpens iron. You know, but the men are not there to raise these young men. The women are raising these young men, and the women are filling them with these feminine qualities. And that's because of the systems that have been set up in this society that we have today by the god of this world, by the devil. So to hear actor Anthony Mackie talk about it, it's a breath of fresh air, because you need fathers like that. You need fathers like that to teach their sons, to teach other young men. It's good to be a mentor out there. You know, like I said, you might not have a son, but you can be a mentor to others around you. You can go to some of these organizations and be a mentor, but it's time for the men to rally together and to teach young men coming up to be men, to be men. Because that's how you stop it. That's how you stop it. I see it coming, though. I see, certain waves coming where men are saying enough is enough. We're bringing back masculinity. We're going to be men, with none of this other stuff that's been happening that we've allowed, because as a society, we've allowed it. As a society, we've been quiet. We've been afraid to speak up because of the cancel culture. But now men are saying enough is enough. The lines have been blurred, and we have to bring the lines back and identify men and identify real men and step up to the purposes that men are called to step up to that's been ordained by God. So what do you think about this topic? I would love to hear from you. Do you believe that we are experiencing the death of the American male? Do you believe that masculinity has been wiped out in our society? Talk to me. I would love to hear your point of view. Before I get out of here, I want to give a shout out to the Dream Team, Blessed Dreams Production, my boy Alfred. Eyes have not seen, my sister Marilyn. And to the next time another episode drops here at Open Doors, be blessed. Talk to you soon.
Don't ever take nothing for granted, man. Hey, you gotta wake up and realize that